Well, I've long said that the equity markets prize instant gratification more than the bond markets want to express concern, and I think that's still true. Uh, I think, generally speaking, what the Trump folks and the Republicans in the House and the Senate are counting on is the idea that growth will fix a lot of ills, and Secretary Bessent, for example, who you're all going to have on the television side mid-morning, has always said is that the debt and deficit stuff is an artificial construct that doesn't take into account not only growth but things like tariff revenues and the like. So I think the impact, frankly, is a lot less, and I'm on Team Steve on that.
What's next for this Congress, Terry, assuming they get something done this week before the July 4th holiday?
The rest of the year is devoted to the spending bills, and that's not going to go quickly or easily. The what you see here in the budget bill or reconciliation bill this week is a microcosm of what you're going to see on the spending bills, and Democrats have more leverage on the spending bills. Not complete,
Yeah.
but at least they have some. But the Democrats have made it their business to oppose any spending cuts, and they will do that throughout the spending process, which means it's going to take months to resolve any annual spending bill for the next fiscal year. That could actually have negative effects, for example, on defense spending, because they need a resolution of that, and they're probably not going to get it quickly.
Terry Haines with us. We continue with the gentleman from Pangaea Policy. Futures advance up 27. NASDAQ futures up 0.6%. I'm under 137. I've lost track of the levels because everything's going up faster. VIX 17.0. For oil, which was a topic, a week ago, 67.55 on Brent crude. Terry, I'm going to use the word flabbergasted because I think it's accurate. I'm flabbergasted of where are the Democrats. Has a minority government ever been this silent? It's almost British.
Yeah, it kind of is, Tom. You're absolutely right, and they haven't gotten over it yet. Britain either, despite how unpopular the Labour government has now proved to be a year on. But yeah, it's difficult. The only analogy I can come up with is kind of congressional Republicans in the mid to late '60s. Presidential side proved itself quite competitive, but Democrats had huge majorities throughout the '60s and '70s, and Republicans had a very difficult to impossible time until the late '70s, finding their feet. And Democrats look like they're going to replicate that today. I'm not suggesting they will,
but Terry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we don't have this is, and I think President Trump would disagree with me. Good morning, Mr. President. We'd love to hear from you, Terry. They don't have huge majorities. It's not like the 60s.
They don't have huge. No, that's right. No, they don't have huge. The Republicans don't have huge majorities. So it is entirely possible that Democrats can come up with majorities in the midterm in one or both houses. Entirely possible. But those will also be tiny majorities, and equally or more importantly, you won't have any sort of coherent philosophy of government. The Republicans have a little bit more of that than the Democrats do. But even if Democrats are in the majority, they're, by all indications today, they're going to continue to flail, and that's probably not good for markets either.
Terry, do we have a trade deal with China? Refresh my memory.
No, we have the same trade deal. We're now to the point where we talk about the same trade deal 2 or 3 times, and it sounds different. We had a handshake deal that turned into a first phase deal that kind of washed out, and now we have a second phase deal, and now that seems to be getting papered, but haven't seen the paper yet. Haven't seen what it is the United States gave up supposedly in return for rare earth metals. So, do we have a trade deal? Maybe, maybe not.